This is a quick tutorial on a couple of basic editing features that I use in Audacity to edit my podcasts. But before we get started, I would say the first thing that I would recommend is not to try to use editing to improve the quality of audio recording. So I would highly recommend that instead of spending hours trying to make voice sound good, instead to invest in quality equipment. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but something that sounds good. So that will be the first tip that I have. Don't try to edit to enhance, just get it right the first time. This also includes being in a very quiet space. It doesn't matter if your audio recording equipment has noise cancellation. You don't want to be spending too much time trying to reduce sounds. Anyways, we will cover how to get rid of this anyways, but that's just something to keep in mind. So the first thing I want to cover is two key features in Audacity. This one right here is, as you can see, is what it needs to be selected in order for you to select a part of the recording. Right? So for this specific tutorial, we're gonna look at this track and we're gonna be making edits on this track. So if you want to select something, you need to have this selected. The other one that I use is this one right here. And this one is mainly used to move things around. So if you want to move a section to somewhere else, then you need to have this selected. So the first thing that I do is I select an area where we were only capturing background noise. And to be able to increase the quality of your audio or reduce the noise, the background noise throughout your audio, you need to do this first. You go to noise reduction. You click on get noise profile. Then you select the whole track. Then you go to effect. And then you go to repeat noise reduction. And then what this is going to do is going to get rid of all the background noise throughout your track. And this will make your audio more clear. Once the noise reduction process is complete, a couple of other key features is the delete and merge. So for example, if there is a section in your audio that you want to delete and merge, then you select that area and then you simply click delete on your keyboard. So then it deletes and merges that. Now I'm going to go undo. Now if you want to, let's say, delete and split, then after you select the area that you want to delete, instead of pressing on the delete button in your keyboard, you go to edit and then you go to remove special and then you go to split delete. And then this is going to, as you can see, going to delete and split instead of delete and merge. So that's something that I use. And then later on, if you want to move that one of these sections somewhere else, you can go and do that by selecting the area that you want to move, as you can see. And again, make sure that you have to remember that you have to click on this button right here in order to be able to move a section somewhere. So now I'm going to click undo because this is something that I'm actually going to be working on later today. Okay, we're back to normal. Now another key feature that I use is, let's say you want to select the whole track. You double click the whole track. That selects everything. And usually you can, if you want to move this track into another track slot, you can use things like copy. And then once you copy, you can click, okay, let's click copy. And then if you go to another track, you select where you want to paste it, like a Word document basically, and you click paste. Similarly, you can do the same thing by selecting the whole track. You can click and do cut if you want to move a certain piece of audio in another track. And let's see what else. Okay, so once you click on a certain part of the track, when you press the space bar, it starts playing the audio from that specific track. Now, if you press the space bar again, it's gonna go back to the beginning where you started playing that. And sometimes that's inconvenient because sometimes you're trying to figure out exactly what part of the audio you wanna cut or you wanna start editing from. So to do that, you gotta press space so it starts playing your audio. And once you figure out the part where you wanna pause and stop, you click Shift and A on your keyboard. And that's gonna move the selector to that specific piece. Then let's say from there you wanna start moving to another area. You're gonna see that there is this hand that pops up. And this is basically where you start your selection process. And you start selecting by, I'm right now clicking on the left button of the mouse, and I am holding it while I'm selecting. Then if you want to play that specific part of your track, you just click play, and as you can see, it's going to play that specific area. Now, let's say you want to further select, then you just go back to where you were before and you just expand the selection. So this is something that I use a lot. Now, let's say you want to delete this, you have to make sure that the track has to be on stop, because if it's paused, then deleting or any editing won't work. Another feature that I use is sometimes when I want to move like everything to the right of the track. So for example, let's say I have a couple of tracks here, as you can see. So if I, instead of just selecting a specific audio recording, I want to select literally everything to the right here. So to do this, you go to where you want to start selecting, and there is this part that says select in all tracks, and as you can see, this is going to expand on all tracks, and now everything that you select is going to cover everything. And I use sometimes this when I make any edits, so now instead of moving this back to closer to the other track, now I can move all the tracks by doing a selection here. Then other than that, I also when I wanna, let's say there is a track that for example has too much volume, this is a very simple edit. You basically select the whole track, and if you expand here, you're gonna see there is an audio gainer. So this is something that you can easily use if one of your audio tracks, if you have multiple ones, is lower. So for example, when I first started this podcast, I ordered a podcast intro, and I noticed that this was way louder usually than my podcast audio interviews. So what I did is lower this a little bit. Then a couple of other tips I would say is make sure that when you're recording, you do a test. You want to make sure that if you're using equipment that you are, other than what comes with your computer, you want to make sure that your equipment is selected for both the microphone and the audio. Otherwise, when you hit record, nothing is going to record. So that was one lesson learned at the beginning for me. Finally, another feature that I use a lot is the limiter, because I don't want any parts of the audio to go so high that it just blasts through the speakers. So to do that, I select the whole track, I go to Effect, Limiter, and then my preferred max is -4 for hard limit. You gotta make sure that this is select in hard limit, and then I click OK. And then what this is basically going to do is going to make sure that any part of your audio that goes over that -4, as you can see here where it starts getting to the red zone, is going to be reduced to -4. So it's going to keep everything very smooth and leveled. Now, if you want to find out what is the equipment that I specifically use, I did a lot of research on this, and I didn't want to spend more than I needed to record crystal clear interviews or audio. So I put this list together that I call the portable equipment for crystal clear podcast interviews. This is I would say the most portable kit that you can have to record high quality audio. It doesn't require the stands, it doesn't require those phones that you see in professional studios, because I decided to instead get a headset that comes with a mic, and then it has a foam here, so that replaces both the stand and then the foam, because it all comes in one place. Then you have this mini audio interface. This is necessary to be able to record high quality audio through your computer. Then if you're going to be recording more than one person, you're going to need this, which basically plugs right here to be able to connect the more than one headset. Now, one thing though to remember is when you record with this type of equipment, it records in a stereo. So when you play it when you record and play it in Audacity, what's gonna happen is you're gonna hear one channel only playing on the left and the other channel playing on the right. So it's gonna be like each person that is recording is gonna sound in each different side of the headset. So to be able to combine these, which I recommend to do that at the end, you want to first do all the editing, and then once you're done with all the editing, then you can go here and you can select split stereo to mono. And what this is going to do is that now when you play something, it's going to sound on both sides of your headset and is on both sides of the speakers once you export the audio.